Before we talk about changing our life, let us pause and think about something we use every single day, often without awareness: our words. We carefully choose our clothes before stepping out, we plan our work, we think about our future, but when it comes to speaking, we often leave it untrained. And yet, many of our biggest problems do not begin with actions, they begin with words spoken in emotion, ego, or ignorance. Words are the invisible threads that hold relationships together, and at the same time, they can become the sharp scissors that cut them apart. Many relationships do not break because of big mistakes. They weaken because of small, careless words spoken repeatedly without awareness. We often underestimate the power of what we say because words leave no physical mark, but emotionally they leave deep impressions. A harsh sentence spoken in anger may last only a few seconds, but its echo can remain in the heart for years. People may forget what you did, but they rarely forget how your words made them feel. In moments of comfort, our words can become bridges. A few sincere sentences can make someone feel valued, respected, and safe. Simple appreciation can strengthen bonds more than grand gestures. When words are gentle, relationships feel lighter. When speech carries empathy, people feel understood. But when the same mouth starts speaking with ego, sarcasm, or impatience, the bridge slowly turns into a wall. Many times, we speak not to express, but to prove, not to heal, but to win, and in the process, relationships begin to suffer silently. The danger is that words spoken to the closest people are often the most careless. We speak politely to strangers and harshly to family, assuming they will understand. But understanding does not mean immunity. Repeated disrespect, taunts, or criticism slowly erode trust. Even truthful words, when spoken without sensitivity, can wound deeply. Truth without compassion becomes cruelty, and honesty without timing becomes harm. Relationships thrive not just on honesty, but on kindness in expression. Another challenge is reacting instead of responding. When emotions rise, the mouth often moves faster than the mind. In such moments, words become weapons rather than tools. Later, we regret, apologize, and say we did not mean it, but the damage has already been done. An apology can mend, but it cannot erase the memory. This is why awareness before speaking is more valuable than regret after speaking. Words also shape how people perceive us in relationships. Someone may have good intentions, but if their language is always negative, complaining, or blaming, others begin to feel drained around them. On the other hand, a person who speaks with calmness and clarity creates emotional safety. People naturally feel drawn toward those whose words bring peace rather than pressure. Over time, relationships are not defined by occasional big moments, but by daily conversations, casual comments, and repeated tones, shaping the emotional climate in which the relationship exists. Speech is a mirror of the mind, and when the mind lacks discipline, the mouth reveals it instantly. An undisciplined mind is restless, impatient, and easily influenced by emotions, and this restlessness often comes out through uncontrolled speech. We may believe that words slip out accidentally, but in reality, they reflect what is happening inside us. When the mind is calm, speech becomes measured. When the mind is cluttered, speech becomes chaotic. This is why untrained speech is not just a communication issue, it is a sign of inner disorder. Many people try to control their words directly, but real change does not begin at the mouth, it begins in the mind. If the mind is filled with anger, comparison, insecurity, or ego, the tongue naturally expresses these qualities. Complaints, criticism, and harsh remarks are often symptoms of deeper mental patterns. An undisciplined mind reacts instantly, without reflection, and the mouth simply follows orders. In such a state, silence feels uncomfortable, and speaking feels necessary even when it is harmful. One of the biggest indicators of an undisciplined mind is impulsive speech. Speaking without thinking, interrupting others, oversharing, or reacting emotionally are not habits of strength but of mental weakness. True discipline allows space between thought and expression. Without that space, words come out unfiltered, often followed by regret. This cycle repeats itself until awareness is developed. Training the mind to pause automatically trains the mouth to speak wisely. Another sign is inconsistency in speech. One day, words are kind and encouraging. The next day, they are sharp and dismissive. This fluctuation reflects a mind that is ruled by mood rather than values. A disciplined mind speaks based on principles, not emotions. It does not allow temporary feelings to dictate permanent damage. When inner stability is missing, speech becomes unpredictable, and people around begin to feel uncertain and unsafe. Untrained speech also reveals a lack of self-awareness. Many people do not realize how they sound to others. They justify their tone by saying they are honest or straightforward, but honesty without discipline becomes arrogance. A disciplined mind understands that the goal of speech is not self-expression alone, but connection. When the mind is trained through reflection, patience, and humility, speech automatically becomes softer, clearer, and more purposeful. Over time, this inner discipline transforms communication into a tool for harmony rather than conflict. In a world that rewards quick reactions, pausing before speaking feels unnatural, yet this pause is where real power lies. Most damage caused by words does not come from what we intended to say, but from what we said without thinking. The moment between a thought arising and a word being spoken is small, but it carries immense strength. When we learn to pause, we give wisdom a chance to enter the conversation. Without this pause, speech becomes a reflex driven by emotion rather than a response guided by understanding. Restraint in speech is often misunderstood as weakness or fear, but in reality, it is a sign of inner authority. Anyone can speak when emotions are high. Very few can remain composed. The ability to hold back words in moments of anger, frustration, or excitement shows mastery over the self. Just as a powerful engine is controlled by brakes, a powerful personality is guided by restraint. The one who controls their mouth controls the direction of their life. Pausing before speaking allows us to choose our words instead of being forced by circumstances. It helps us ask simple yet transformative questions within ourselves. Is this true? Is this necessary? Is this kind? These few seconds of reflection can prevent misunderstandings, preserve relationships, and maintain dignity. Often, what we want to say may be correct, but the timing is wrong. The pause helps align truth with timing. Restraint also protects us from unnecessary conflicts. Many arguments escalate not because of disagreement, but because of tone. A sharp reply invites another sharp reply, creating a cycle that could have been avoided with a calm pause. Silence at the right moment can diffuse tension more effectively than 100 explanations. When we restrain ourselves, we stop feeding negativity and allow clarity to emerge. Another hidden power of restraint is self-respect. When we speak less, speaking with purpose means that words are chosen intentionally, not released emotionally. Impulsive speech is driven by momentary feelings, while purposeful speech is guided by clarity and awareness. When we speak impulsively, the mouth becomes an outlet for frustration, excitement, or ego. In such moments, the goal is not communication but emotional discharge. Purposeful speech, on the other hand, has direction. It knows why it is speaking, what it wants to convey, and how it will impact the listener. Impulse does not ask questions, it reacts. Purpose pauses and reflects. Many times, we say things simply because we feel like saying them, not because they need to be said. This habit creates unnecessary noise in relationships and confusion in communication. Speaking with purpose requires asking oneself whether the words will add value or merely express restlessness. When speech is purposeful, even a few words can carry depth. When it is impulsive, even long explanations feel empty. Purposeful speech is rooted in responsibility. It understands that words have consequences beyond the present moment. Impulsive speech seeks immediate relief, while purposeful speech seeks long-term harmony. A person who speaks with purpose is not controlled by moods. They do not allow anger to choose their vocabulary or pride to choose their tone. Instead, they allow wisdom to guide expression. This creates consistency and reliability in communication. Another aspect of purposeful speech is alignment with values. When words reflect inner principles, they carry authenticity and strength. Impulsive speech often contradicts personal values, leading to guilt and regret. A person may believe in kindness but speak harshly in anger, or value honesty but exaggerate under pressure. Purposeful speech bridges this gap between belief and behavior. It ensures that words do not betray character. Speaking with purpose also deepens listening. When one values meaningful speech, one also values meaningful silence. Impulse speaks to dominate, purpose speaks to connect. Purposeful speakers are aware that communication is not about filling space with words, but about creating understanding. They recognize that sometimes the most purposeful response is a calm sentence, a thoughtful question, or even silence. Over time, this habit transforms speech into a conscious act rather than an emotional reaction, allowing words to become instruments of clarity, respect, and balance rather than sources of confusion and conflict. Silence is often misunderstood as emptiness, but in reality, it is full of awareness. Many people fear silence because it does not give instant validation or attention, yet wisdom has always valued silence as a sign of maturity. When someone chooses silence in a moment where reaction is expected, it is not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand the weight of words. Silence becomes a conscious decision, not an escape. Weakness seeks expression to prove existence, while wisdom rests comfortably without needing to explain itself. A weak mind feels compelled to respond to every comment, defend every opinion, and correct every mistake it notices. Wisdom understands that not every battle needs to be fought and not every thought needs to be spoken. Silence protects energy, it prevents unnecessary arguments and preserves inner peace. Choosing silence at the right time reflects confidence, not fear. Silence also creates space for understanding. When we stop speaking, we start observing. We notice tone, intention, and emotion behind words. Many misunderstandings dissolve not through explanation, but through quiet observation. Silence allows the other person to reflect as well. In heated moments, silence can cool the atmosphere far better than logic or justification. It gives emotions time to settle and clarity to return. Another strength of silence is that it sharpens speech. When words are used sparingly, they carry more weight. People listen more attentively to someone who does not speak unnecessarily. Constant talking reduces the value of words, while thoughtful silence increases it. Silence trains the mind to filter thoughts before they reach the mouth. Over time, this practice leads to more meaningful and impactful communication. Silence is also a form of self-control. It teaches restraint in moments of provocation. When insulted, remaining silent does not mean accepting disrespect, it means choosing dignity over reaction. Silence gives time to decide whether a response is required or whether peace is more valuable. It is a reminder that self-worth does not depend on immediate verbal defense. In personal growth, silence plays a crucial role. It allows introspection and self-awareness. When external noise reduces, inner clarity increases. Many answers are not found in talking but in listening to one's own thoughts. Silence helps align actions with values and words with wisdom. It strengthens emotional intelligence and deepens patience. Over time, silence becomes a trusted companion, guiding speech, shaping character, and protecting the mind from unnecessary turmoil. The way we speak does not only affect others, it deeply affects our own inner state. Conscious speech is not just about choosing polite words, it is about speaking from awareness rather than habit. When words are spoken with mindfulness, the mind remains calm and centered, but when speech is careless, the mind becomes agitated, restless, and disturbed. Inner peace is closely connected to how we communicate, both with others and with ourselves. Most inner conflicts are intensified by uncontrolled speech. Complaining repeatedly strengthens dissatisfaction. Gossip increases negativity. Harsh self-talk weakens confidence. Conscious speech interrupts these patterns. When we become aware of what we say, we also become aware of what we think. Peace does not come from controlling situations, it comes from controlling expression. Conscious speech encourages emotional balance. Instead of reacting immediately, awareness creates space. This space allows emotions to rise and fall without forcing them into words. Many emotions lose their intensity when they are not given instant expression. By choosing mindful words, we prevent emotions from dominating our behavior. This control brings a sense of stability and clarity within. Another aspect of conscious speech is responsibility. When words are spoken thoughtfully, there is less regret. Regret disturbs peace long after the conversation has ended. Mindful speech reduces the burden of apologies and explanations. It creates a sense of integrity where words align with values. This alignment brings inner satisfaction and self respect. Conscious speech also improves relationships, which directly influences inner peace. Conflicts, misunderstandings, and emotional tension drain mental energy. When communication becomes calmer and clearer, relationships feel safer and more supportive. This emotional security reflects inward, creating mental ease. A peaceful mind is often the result of peaceful interactions. Inner peace grows when the mind feels in control rather than reactive. Conscious speech strengthens this control daily. Each mindful conversation becomes a small step towards stability. Over time, speaking with awareness becomes natural. Words stop disturbing the mind and begin to soothe it. Speech becomes an extension of inner calm rather than a source of chaos. Through conscious speech, the mind learns to rest, the heart learns to trust, and peace becomes a consistent inner experience rather than a temporary state. So, as we move forward in life, let us remember that real change does not begin by controlling the world outside, it begins by controlling the world within. Training the mouth is not about suppressing expression, it is about elevating it.